Have you ever wondered if you're unknowingly holding yourself back? Or worse, surrounding yourself with people who drain your energy and sabotage your growth? Foolishness isn't just about lacking intelligence. It's a mindset, a pattern of behaviors that keep people stuck in failure, frustration, and missed opportunities. The Stoics, some of the greatest thinkers in history, warned us that wisdom isn't about knowing everything. It's about recognizing our own flaws and striving to improve. Today, we're uncovering 6 unmistakable signs of a foolish person, traits that destroy success, relationships, and personal growth. Some of these may hit uncomfortably close to home, but that's the point. Awareness is the first step to transformation. By the end of this video, you'll not only spot these signs in others, but more importantly, within yourself, so you can break free from them. Ready to challenge yourself and gain life-changing wisdom? Let's begin. The first sign: a closed mind. The fortress of stagnation. A closed mind is the ultimate barrier to growth. A fortress built with bricks of fear, pride, and stubbornness. It's the refusal to listen, to question, or to evolve. People with closed minds dismiss new ideas before they even consider them, clinging desperately to outdated beliefs, convinced that they already know everything. But here's the harsh truth. The moment you stop learning, you start declining. Imagine someone who refuses to acknowledge change, even when the evidence is overwhelming. Take Mark, a department manager who ignored his team's suggestions for adopting new technology. "We've done it this way for years," he scoffed, dismissing the idea outright. But as competitors surged ahead, Mark's team fell behind, drowning in inefficiency. His refusal to adapt wasn't confidence, it was fear disguised as certainty. This is the danger of a closed mind. It doesn't just block new knowledge, it destroys opportunity. It leads to stagnation, frustration, and ultimately failure. The great Stoic Marcus Aurelius once said, "If someone can prove me wrong, I will gladly change, for the truth is my only concern." That's the mindset of a wise person. The courage to admit mistakes, to seek knowledge, and to grow. So ask yourself, do you welcome new ideas, or do you reject them out of habit? If you catch yourself resisting change or clinging to outdated beliefs, pause and reflect. Growth only begins when the walls of ignorance crumble. The wise are always learning. The foolish, they build their own prison, brick by brick. Which one will you choose? The second sign: constant blaming. The prison of excuses. Blaming others is one of the clearest signs of a foolish person. It's a defense mechanism, a way to shift responsibility and protect the ego from discomfort. But here's the harsh reality. Blaming others doesn't fix the problem. It keeps you trapped in failure. A foolish person will always find someone else to blame: their boss, the government, their parents, or even fate. But deep down, we all know the truth. Our lives are shaped by our choices. When you refuse to take accountability, you hand over control of your life to external forces. You become a prisoner of your own excuses. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus put it plainly: it's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters. Wise people take responsibility because they understand that every setback is a lesson, every failure a chance to improve. The foolish, however, remain stuck, trapped in a cycle of blame and stagnation. So ask yourself, do you take responsibility for your life, or do you point fingers? If you find yourself blaming circumstances, stop and reflect. Owning your mistakes isn't weakness. It's the first step to power, freedom, and success. Don't let excuses define you. Rise above them. The third sign: arrogance over humility. The downfall of the foolish. Arrogance is a silent killer of wisdom. It blinds people, making them believe they are always right while dismissing the knowledge and insights of others. A foolish person is not necessarily uneducated, but they refuse to learn because they believe they already know everything. This stubborn pride becomes their greatest weakness, keeping them trapped in ignorance while others grow and evolve. Imagine Michael, a corporate manager who always had to be the smartest person in the room. He interrupted colleagues, dismissed new ideas, and scoffed at constructive feedback. His arrogance made him deaf to valuable insights, and when a major project failed, he blamed his team instead of recognizing his own shortcomings. His refusal to listen not only hurt the company, but also cost him the respect of his peers. The Stoic philosopher Seneca warned, "A wise man knows he knows nothing, while a fool thinks he knows everything." True wisdom comes not from boasting, but from listening, learning, and staying open to growth. Arrogance, on the other hand, isolates people. The arrogant may appear confident, but in reality, they are fragile, unable to handle criticism, unable to grow, and unable to connect deeply with others. Ask yourself, do you seek to understand, or do you only seek to be right? True intelligence lies in humility, the willingness to admit mistakes, to learn from others, and to evolve. If you're not open to learning, you're closing the door to success. Let go of arrogance, embrace humility, and watch how wisdom begins to shape your life. The fourth sign, lack of empathy. The cold heart of a fool. One of the most tragic signs of foolishness is a lack of empathy, the inability to step into someone else's shoes and truly understand their emotions. A foolish person sees the world only through their own narrow perspective, dismissing the struggles, feelings, and pain of others. They mock, belittle, and hurt without even realizing it, convinced that emotions are weaknesses rather than strengths. But make no mistake, empathy is not a weakness. It is a mark of true wisdom and strength. Think of Paul, a sales executive who never considered the feelings of his co-workers. He would criticize team members for minor mistakes, dismiss concerns with sarcasm, and even humiliate colleagues in meetings. His behavior created a toxic environment, making people avoid him rather than work with him. But life has a way of teaching the lessons we refuse to learn. One day, Paul's world changed. His father fell seriously ill, and suddenly, he found himself overwhelmed with stress and fear. When he needed support, he realized how isolating his past behavior had been. The same people he had mistreated were now hesitant to offer him compassion. Only then did he understand the power of empathy and the damage his foolishness had caused. The Stoics understood that wisdom and virtue begin with understanding others. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Whenever you are about to find fault with someone, ask yourself, what fault of mine most nearly resembles the one I'm about to criticize?" The wise do not judge harshly. They seek to understand. Ask yourself, do you dismiss others' struggles? Do you listen with patience, or only wait for your turn to speak? A person without empathy lives a lonely existence. Open your heart, embrace kindness, and watch how the world around you transforms. The fifth sign, the fear of change, the silent killer of growth. One of the greatest obstacles to wisdom is the fear of change, a quiet, invisible force that keeps people trapped in their comfort zones, even when those zones are crumbling around them. A foolish person resists new ideas, clings to outdated ways of thinking, and refuses to adapt, even when faced with overwhelming evidence that change is necessary. They convince themselves that sticking to the familiar is safe, but in reality, it is a slow and certain path to stagnation. Consider Michael, a talented but stubborn man who had worked at the same company for 20 years. As industries evolved and technology advanced, Michael refused to learn new skills. I've done my job this way for years, he would say. Why change now? But the world didn't stop moving just because he did. Younger employees who embraced new ideas and adapted to the changing workplace quickly outpaced him. Eventually, Michael found himself obsolete, passed over for promotions, ignored in meetings, and eventually replaced by someone more willing to grow. His fear of change didn't protect him. It destroyed his career. The Stoics understood that life is in constant motion, and only those who flow with it can truly thrive. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Observe constantly that all things take place by change, and accustom yourself to consider that the nature of the universe loves nothing so much as to change." Change is not the enemy. It is the very foundation of progress, growth, and opportunity. Ask yourself, do you resist change out of fear? Do you avoid new challenges because they make you uncomfortable? Remember this: life does not wait for those who stand still. The wise embrace change, adapt, and grow. The foolish cling to the past and are left behind. The sixth sign: talking more than listening. The sound of ignorance. Have you ever met someone who just won't stop talking? Someone who dominates every conversation, interrupts constantly, and seems to believe their words are the most important thing in the room? This is one of the most glaring signs of foolishness: talking more than listening. A person who talks endlessly without taking the time to listen is not just irritating, they are cutting themselves off from knowledge, growth, and meaningful relationships. Imagine a man named John, a businessman who thought he had all the answers. In every meeting, he would talk over his employees, dismissing their suggestions before they could finish a sentence. He was so busy hearing himself speak that he failed to notice the frustration building in his team. Then, one day, his company faced a crisis. His employees had seen the warning signs for months, but John had been too busy talking to hear them. By the time he finally listened, it was too late. His failure to listen had cost him everything. The Stoics believed that wisdom is found in silence, not in noise. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Better to trip with the feet than with the tongue." Words should be measured, intentional, and thoughtful. A wise person listens more than they speak, because they understand that every person they encounter knows something they don't. A foolish person, however, assumes they already know it all, and in doing so, they close themselves off from learning anything new. Ask yourself, do you truly listen, or do you just wait for your turn to talk? The wise pause, observe, and absorb. The foolish drown in their own noise. Which one will you be? So there you have it, the 6 unmistakable signs of a foolish person. But before you walk away, take a moment to reflect. Foolishness isn't just something we see in others. It's something we all battle at times. Maybe you've caught yourself resisting change, blaming others, or shutting down new ideas. Perhaps you've met people who refuse to listen, let arrogance cloud their judgment, or prioritize comfort over growth. The truth is, wisdom isn't about never making mistakes. It's about recognizing them and choosing to do better. The Stoics believed that self-awareness is the first step to transformation. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, every flaw we identify in ourselves is an opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Have you ever fallen into one of these traps yourself? Comment below and share your thoughts, because the path to wisdom begins with honest reflection. Let's continue this journey together. If this message resonated with you, like the video, subscribe for more Stoic insights, and remember, the pursuit of wisdom never ends.